Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Straight Out of Boston here today. I'm back for episode number 15 of my New York Mets Dynasty series here on Out of the Park Baseball 19. So today I'm finally back with the post-World Series episode. We're going to be getting into the 2019-20 off-season. I have no plans of stopping this series, even though I'm coming off of a World Series victory in year number two. I want to see if I can continue to build this team around its current core and try to win another World Series or two over the next couple of seasons. But anyway, I've kind of put the series on the back burner the past week or two just because I've been getting the Madden series booted up and trying to sort of get that underway. But I still want to keep posting this occasionally. Definitely going to be focusing on Madden and eventually an NBA 2K series. But for now, I still want to give OOTP its due. So we're going to be going at least a couple more years with the New York Mets, and that starts with this upcoming offseason. So we've got some big news here. First off, Kenley Jansen not opting out of his contract. Remember, he ruptured his tendon in his finger at the end of the regular season, was not a part of our postseason run, and he is due to make 36 million or 38 million, excuse me, over the next two seasons, making 18 this upcoming year and 20 the following year. And I believe we are on the hook for all of that. Yes, we are. So that is something to keep in mind. And we've also got big news, something I discussed doing before, but the game did it for me. The NL instituting the designated hitter rule. So, of course, I think in episode one of this series, I had posed to everybody what their thoughts would be on me instituting a designated hitter rule just for the team building aspect of it, because that does change things a little bit for us. And it's going to affect our upcoming offseason because we're going to now have to consider what our lineup would look like with a designated hitter. Remember, we traded for Justin Bour, who is under team control for another season. I traded for him kind of with the idea in mind of just having a super pinch hitter off the bench, but maybe he will be the full-time DH, or maybe that lets us move one of our outfielders to DH. Although our outfield defense is pretty solid with these guys, although down the road, I think Harper would definitely be a candidate to move to DH, especially if he sticks around throughout the length of his contract. As for the rest of our guys, I mean, we have pretty good defenders around the diamond, so it could just be something more simple like adding an extra bat in free agency if we have the money. But anyway, let's take a look at some of our players who are due for new contracts. So we'll start with the pending free agents. We have two guys without compensation, Herrera and Wieters. I don't think we're really too intent on bringing either of them back. Herrera maybe down the road, but we're certainly going to be looking at other bullpen options before we consider him. We've got Dylan Betances, who's coming off of a pretty good year for us. We got him at the deadline last year. He was a big role in our World Series win this past season. I would definitely be interested in offering him the qualifying offer, but it looks like he's actually interested in a one-year, $15 million deal, so I'm not going to do that. And I don't think I'm going to get it off for d'Arnaud or Nicasio. Wheeler, maybe? Yeah, Wheeler looks like he would not take the qualifying offer. So, yes, all right. So I'm going to offer it to him at least. And Wheeler was looking for what was it, like a 6-year deal with an AAV of around 14 million maybe. Um, so I would consider that. He was, he's inconsistent up and down, not bad. Um, and he's been healthy, which is good for us through these first 2 years. But we'll see. I'm not sure I'm going to pay him that. I think we're gonna wait. We might take all these guys to market and see what kind of money we have, what kind of options are available for us, and then make a decision on some of those guys. But all right. So Justin Bour, arbitration estimate of 5 million. That is a little bit pricey. Although I keep telling myself I'm the New York Mets, not the Oakland A's. I don't have to be so cutthroat with my financial situations. I'm going to keep Plawecki just because even though he has not been very productive for us, he is a major league catcher, and we're losing one major league catcher in d'Arnaud, and we only had like two in the organization anyway, so we kind of need to keep the other one and hopefully add one in the offseason. Robles is a guy that I probably will not bring back just because, yeah, his numbers are kind of what they are at this point. He hasn't really been any good for us, and I remember bringing him back last year and then immediately regretting it once I had like 7 other better bullpen options. Pazos I will bring back because he has good ratings and he's left-handed. We got him in that Seattle trade that we made where we picked up James Paxton as well. Paxton is a pretty good non-tender candidate based on how he pitched last year, including for us after the trade. The strikeouts are still way down from what they were, and he's slated to make 10 million. So I doubt I'll be able to find a trade for him, but I will at least look for one. Seth Lugo, who was hurt most of last year, he is only looking for 850,000. So I think I will give him that rather than non-tender him as the game had suggested that I do. Cody Anderson, of course, the guy we got off waivers. I think we'll bring him back for one more year at least. Now he is going to be making more than the minimum, which is what he had last year, but I think just based on his versatility to be able to start or pitch out of the bullpen and to do both pretty effectively as he did last year, I think is worth keeping him around. He might regress a little bit, but that's okay. Andrew Triggs, we're going to bring back. He was solid for us. His contract demands are very low. He's already 30 years old, though. He's got 3 more years of team control. So if I only kept him for the next 3 years, that's probably just fine. So I'm not really looking for a big extension for him. I also don't really trust that he's totally going to be as good as he was last year. I think he'll still be solid, but I mean, we kind of need the pitching if we're going to be losing Wheeler. Just looking at our rotation, we are gonna have Syndergaard back. We're gonna have DeGrom for one more year at least, unless we get him extended. He could. Uh, I don't think he's a trade candidate just because we're coming off of a World Series win, and he was a big part of that. Matz is gonna be in the rotation for next year, definitely. So it's DeGrom, Matz. We still have Syndergaard. We'll have Justin Dunn in there. I know he pitched very well out of the bullpen, but I still want to see him as a starter. So he'll be getting an opportunity to start. It could be these five, honestly, with Syndergaard in place of Wheeler. And for depth, we still have a guy like Seth Lugo who can start, and we've got some other guys kind of hanging around. We still have, the same sort of pitching depth that we've had for the first 2 seasons of this series. So I think if we bring Triggs back and um, let Wheeler walk, that's fine. We've got Syndergaard, who is due for an extension still. He's got 2 years of team control left. He's coming off of that torn flexor tendon, and I mean, unless his demands were really low for an extension, yeah, see, that's not even that low. I 100% want to see him come back from Tommy John first before I give him that kind of contract. So anything pretty much north of 30 million bucks, I'd start to be a little bit nervous paying for him. But doing this is going to pretty much leave that one window of next offseason to get that extension done. So it's a little bit risky doing this, not trying to extend him now. But I think based on his initial demands, I doubt I was going to be able to work that number very far down anyway. So we're going to see if we can get him for 11 million bucks, see what he looks like coming back off of Tommy John. Rafi Montero. See, like Rafi Montero, he wants 2.4 million. I think that kind of money for a guy like this is definitely not worth it. I would much rather give that money to Cody Anderson. I would much rather pay a guy like Seth Lugo 850,000 versus giving Montero 2.4 million. Matz we want back. Matt's still looking at a relatively cheap extension, and he was hurt for a lot of last year. His strikeout numbers were pretty abysmal, but he looked pretty bad in the postseason too, honestly. He's got 2 years of team control left. That takes him through his age 30 season. Well, I think we're gonna wait on him too, quite honestly. I mean, I honestly don't want to pay for a guy like Matz in free agency if his production is gonna be what it has. And I mean, he had a good ERA last year, but just the strikeouts being so low and the walks being that high really concerns me. And the fact that he had a 4.60 ERA the year before. Like even though he only was asking for 9, 10 million bucks in the years that he was going to be a free agent, That's still more than I'd probably pay for a guy with a 4.60 ERA, quite honestly. So I would much rather save those funds, try to get Syndergaard and DeGrom here long term rather than paying for some of those middle of the rotation guys. So DeGrom is looking for 18 million. He is 31 years old, coming off of not quite the same year he had the year before. So maybe this is the time to strike on an extension. Could we go 3 years with the last year being a team option? We'll make it a buyout of 1 million. What does he think about that? He just wants the buyout increased to 2.2. So that guarantees him to be here for, we'll even call next year his age 32 season, and then 33 and 34. And we have the buyout option in year number 5. So I think we'll do this. We need to get either him or Syndergaard locked up. This is a little bit of an overpay, but it's only 4 years, and I mean it's the I don't like paying a pitcher who's 31 years old, especially in this game where it seems like pitching ratings always decrease so quickly. But I think I just need to get either him or Syndergaard locked up. And like I said, this is kind of insurance if the Syndergaard negotiations really go south next offseason. But we've guaranteed that both of them are going to be here for at least one more year and probably at least 2 more years. Just because Syndergaard, I think there is a world in which I could see myself trading Syndergaard next offseason if it really looked like I wasn't going to be able to pay him. But we'll see about that. So I skipped ahead a little bit. We are past the giving out of all the awards about a week ahead of free agency, and actually 9 days to be exact. So we'll go through the awards first. We took a handful of them home. No Gold Glovers for us. No reliever of the year. No one even getting. Actually, Betances got some votes representing the Mets, but pretty lifeless start to award season for us. We finally got one award when it was Bryce Harper racking up a Silver Slugger for his work as a right fielder this year, and it pretty much only went up from there because we would get Rookie of the Year in Qian Zi Shuang, who actually swept it with all 30 first place votes, winning it pretty handily. He had a good year for us, 30 home runs and 525 at bats. Mickey Callaway winning not Rookie of the Year, excuse me, Manager of the Year, which probably should have been expected after his team won the World Series, of course. And in the Cy Young, no one for us. We got DeGrom in third place with one first place vote. Bit of an improvement. Last year he was hovering around the bottom part of this little screen. But third place in the Cy Young voting this year, not bad by any means for Jacob DeGrom. But the real prize was when Michael Conforto was named MVP. So pretty cool stuff there. A little bit surprising to be honest. Honestly thought Harper would get the nod over him. He had the slight nod in WAR, and he also actually won the Silver Slugger at his position as opposed to Conforto. And I guess they would both be listed as right fielders, even though Conforto spent most of the year playing left field. But Harper actually finished fourth behind Peterson, or he finished third, excuse me, behind Peterson and Conforto. So interesting stuff there. But all right, we've gotten everybody signed to their extensions. We didn't have any trouble negotiating with anyone like we did last offseason. So we are getting ready for free agency here. We've still got these two guys, though, James Paxton and Justin Bour, who we are considering some trades for. So the market for Bour is actually a lot more serious than the market for Paxton, and I think that's probably to do with the contract and the money. But Bour, we could actually get something pretty solid in return for. But it is going to depend on the financials of how much money we might take back. So here were the offers for him. And you can see right off the bat, a guy like Anthony Rendon, who's got 2 years left on his contract at around 20 million each year, coming off of a down year offensively, but still one of the best defensive third basemen in the game. And we could move Gurriel to DH. We could shift Gurriel to a bench role, which is maybe more along the lines of where he belongs. So that would give us some positional flexibility. Rendon can also play second base, which means we can maybe sift Shuang to a position that's a little bit more naturally suited for him. So we have some potential flexibility, versatility if we are able to make a move like that. Reliever on the market, Mark Melancon. He's got one more year at 14.4 million, so could be a good replacement for Betances potentially. Um, Daniel Murphy coming off of a really good year. Of course, his defense. See, like he would actually be a good candidate to add as a DH, but his contract is too much for us. We're not looking to add anyone with that much of a future commitment in terms of just pure money. Lorenzo Cain would be kind of interesting, although we don't really need an outfielder. Um, Justin Turner, another third base option. He only has 1 year left on his deal, which I like. And same sort of deal where he could maybe shift Gurriel to a DH role. The thing about Turner is Turner's 34, whereas Rendon is, I think, still in his 20s. So we have a little bit more of a long-term option there. Here's one I like, JT Realmuto. This is the one I might do. He's got 3 point, no, he's got 8.4 for next year, and then he's a free agent. So this is like basically trading for a rental, but it's an actual major league caliber starting catcher, which I like. So we might do that because we actually haven't had one of those through the first 2 years of this dynasty. Kind of remarkable that we've been as good as we have been without an actual catcher. Um, Other offers. All right, so I think I like the Real Muto and the Rendon offers the best. Rendon, 2018, he was very good in this Dynasty series, so that's a good sign. Um, and I already played around with it a little bit. We can't really get Washington eat that much money. I'm kind of curious what else we could trade for Real Muto because he's a guy I would like to target regardless of who we have to give up. Because quite simply, like I said, he's a starting catcher, and we don't have one of those. And yeah, I could get him for basically nothing. So, I think we could trade Woods Richardson, who's turned into a total likely bust for us. We'll trade them something of actual value. I'm not just going to get him for free. Let's go to our AAA roster. And boy, I would say Tyler Bachelor. Sure, have him. And I'll even, just because I'm such a nice guy, I'm going to throw in Hansel Robles. Because that's just, like I said, that's the kind of guy I am. I do things for, I offer things to people for free. Let's see what prospects they have. Oh, this Joey Bart guy. I'd love to get this guy, but there's no way they're giving him up. Jorge Guzman would be another great one. Ooh, I might try and snag Guzman in this deal because I like his ratings. He could definitely be a good starter. Let's see. What else do I have to give up to get this deal to go through? Could give up Garrett Hampson. I also think I am gonna maybe trade one of my infielders, either Hampson or Rosario, and then go with whoever I decide to keep on top of Andres Gimenez. Rosario, he has a lot of trade value still, which is kind of surprising, even though his offensive ratings seem like they're never really going to be anything anything noteworthy by any means. We could. What about this guy, Taylor? Can play third base. Don't care. Yeah, we'll give up Ronnie Taylor Jr. We'll get Jorge Guzman. And what about Major League? Well, we might as well see about that other prospect that we didn't try, Kehoe. Just see if he's undervalued for whatever reason. I doubt it, but I'll be curious. Yeah, see, like I could, like if I threw in Rosario, I could get this Kehoe guy, which is just weird because yeah, this guy's clearly one of the top prospects in baseball. He was the number one overall pick in this past draft, and yeah, that doesn't seem like he should be worth or Rosario should be worth him, but he is. All right, other relievers we could target. Kind of like this Jesse Adams. There's Guzman. It might just stick with Guzman because honestly, Guzman is an option for 2020 to help us out. Second rider. All right. So we're just gonna go through with this deal. Bachelor, Robles, and Ronnie Taylor Jr. for Real Muto and Guzman. And then we still have the option of trading for either Justin Turner or Anthony Rendon. And we're giving up Bohr in that deal. Who needs Bohr more is a good question. I guess everyone needs Bohr because everyone needs a DH now. And maybe well, that's not something I'm going to think about too much. I know we could be using Bohr as a DH, but I think, well, Gurriel, he was good for us at third base last year. I mean, he was very good for us, almost a 4-win player. Defense was not by any means like anything special, but he did have some good plays in the playoffs. Um, I think maybe he does make more sense as a DH though, and like that's the thing about getting a Rendon. It's just the positional versatility. So like here, 25%, that would be 5 million off of the 20 million. Um, like that still would require us to give up someone of pretty substantial value for us. So what if we went to 15? And then they're eating 3 million of the $20 million salary. Then we could throw in someone. We could throw in like a Jacob Rame, Ramen Noodle. I would love to dump him. But yeah, we can't go above 15% with that. After that, we have to give up. Oh, we still have Peter Alonso. I forgot about him. He's definitely an option for the DH spot. Him and Gurriel maybe. Um, yeah, definitely. See if we go to 20%. We have to offer up someone. So let me just look at Shuang real quick. He's still listed as a center fielder, so he plays a pretty good second base. So I'm not really looking to move him off of that. Ratings wise, it's not going to get better than second base or left field for him. So I think, man, I'm really tempted to do this Rendon deal. Just do the 15% savings and throw in Rom. So then we'd be paying him 17 million for the next 2 years, which doesn't seem like it's that much, honestly, for a pretty good third baseman. But it does chew up a lot of our available money. It would drop to only 20 million, which does limit what we can do in free agency this year. But we're also that 20 million includes the money we're paying Paxton, and I'm pretty likely to just non-tender Paxton at this point, considering what his market was. Unless I could work him into this deal somehow, which maybe is possible, but yeah, no, it's not. So it's really a matter of getting Rendon or Justin Turner, and I like Rendon more, I think, just because he's a long-term option. We could re-sign him. Turner, I would say very unlikely to be re-signed if we got him and kept him for the 1 year. Um, but also looking at need, I guess the Dodgers could move Bellinger to the outfield, but they still need a DH too. Washington, they have a stud third base prospect apparently, so I guess it kind of makes sense from a realism standpoint. Maybe it's this guy. Can't be this guy, can it? Gee, I don't know. They got that blue star for prospects for third baseman. I don't know who that would be. It's not this guy. It's not De La. What if I go by OSA ratings? It must be this guy. Well, he's 23. If they really want to give him a shot, trade Rendon. I mean, by all means, be my guest. So I'm gonna pull off this trade. Rendon, I think that's fine. 2 years. If I was signing a guy like Rendon for a 2-year, $34 million contract, I think I'd be pretty fine with that. I'm only giving up guys I don't really care about, so we're gonna do this deal. We get Anthony Rendon. That's our first big move of the offseason. Actually, our second big move. I guess Real Muto was our first big move. And we'll take one more look at the trade market for Paxton, but I'd say he's very likely to get non-tendered. So yeah, here are the offers for Paxton, and it's all players who are making a lot of money or making money on long-term contracts. So, and also really no one that good, quite frankly. So Paxton, he will be non-tendered, and that saves us 10 million. And now I think we're going to skip ahead to free agency. All right, so we're back at the start of free agency, and our first bit of news is that Zach Wheeler did file for free agency, meaning he turned down the qualifying offer, which is good news for us. That means we'll be getting a draft pick back if and when he signs, as long as that happens before the amateur draft next year, which I assume it will. He should have a pretty decent market for himself, but all right. Actually, we have one more date before free agency. Jesus. I do want to take a look at the international free agents when that list is released. And here it is. So let's take a quick look. Ooh, I see one good relief pitcher. Um, No one else really of substance. I don't think this guy is worth signing. So let's take a look at that relief pitcher. K. His name is K. He's looking for 3 million bucks. Extremely hard worker, but slow to catch on. His ratings actually aren't that impressive. 29 years old, does throw hard. But yeah, his ratings are really not that impressive. I'm going to wait and see on that guy. I think that is the right play, but I think we'll have some other options for relief pitchers. And let's see how much money we have. We have 27.5 million bucks to sign free agents. And looking at our team, so in the bullpen, we definitely could use some more high-end relievers. We'll have Jansen coming back. I don't know why it's allowing me to even have him on the DL. Usually it doesn't allow me to do that, but maybe they fixed that in this game in one of the recent updates. But we'll get Jansen back, so that's one spot. But you look at it, we're gonna have Ta, Callahan, Pazos, and eventually Guzman. I'm not saying Guzman's opening day, but eventually Guzman. So we'll count him for now. Let's just say he makes the opening day roster, has a good spring training, all that stuff. We have those four, and then four other spots, basically, that, right now we're looking like, I mean, Anderson's a guarantee too, I guess. So we have three other spots then, really. Lugo, Church, Selman, and Conlon for three other spots right now. So that, we could legitimately sign three relievers to fill those spots. Like, I don't really feel like I need to give a job to any of those guys that I mentioned. And there are relievers available. Betances, Miller, Britton. So we'll see how the reliever market plays out. I'm definitely going to be looking to add a reliever or two. In terms of the rest of the roster, I think for the most part we don't really need to make big moves. I think the Rendon trade was good. Like I said, we're going to put, yeah, this is how I want it. I want to put Rendon at third. I want Gurriel and Alonso DHing. I want Realmuto catching. I guess if I should look at the catchers, see if there are any catchers worth signing out there. Maybe doing a platoon thing or something with Realmuto. But yeah, I'm not going to. I want to give Jimenez a shot at the shortstop gig full time, or at least as the opening day starter. I guess the thing left to do is maybe decide on which of these shortstops I'm going to trade. And it's probably going to be Rosario, just based on him. Although, man, he's so popular that would be bad. Maybe. And he has hit in the postseason in each of these two postseasons, but it's so hard. Like emotionally, I am attached to this player. I want to keep him because of the things that I just mentioned. But at the same time, like I'm just gonna shop him. I'm just gonna look at some of these deals that are gonna be offered to me and be like, why the hell would I not trade this guy? Like I just saw Blake Snell get offered, which I'm sure it's not like the same Blake Snell that might win the Cy Young in real life, but it's probably a pretty good Blake Snell. Yeah, here he is. All right, he's okay. But we got some other big names here. I mean, Brandon Belt, Seager, some guys on big contracts. Felipe Vasquez would be an interesting one. Giancarlo Stanton or our oldest Chapman. I guess the Stanton thing, we would have to take all of that money, but he's coming off a monster year. He always hits a ton of home runs in this game with his 80 grade power. He does make a lot of money. He's got that opt out next year, though, so maybe that's the deal. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, Trevor Hildenberger, that would be another good one to get. Corey Knable, some good relievers being offered. I guess these offers aren't really that overwhelming now that I actually look at them. Jose Altuve is a pretty good one, I guess, but he makes a lot of money too. That's one where I mean, 26 million, I think probably worth, but that's an odd move that they would offer Altuve. Jake Rogers, catching prospect, would be kind of interesting. Tyler Anderson, Nate Eovaldi, coming off a good year with Cleveland. Addison Russell, he's got a decent contract. Anthony Rizzo. Sander Bogarts is a free agent in a year, right? Oh no, he got re-signed. 2 years for about 49 million for 2 years of Bogarts. I mean, I wouldn't have anywhere to put him. Wow, this is one right here. Machado. This is a legitimate consideration. He does have that opt out. Probably gonna get the mega bucks after this year. But this is because I had him in my A's. I've seen how good he can be. He's only 27. Man, that's a tough one. Swanson's another good one. Like, look at these offers. I mean, this is just insanity for this guy who's never going to hit. Like, this guy will never hit with these ratings. I can guarantee you that. Our scout thinks he's a bubble player for the Major League roster. Did have 2 wins above replacement despite an 83 OPS plus. That does tell you about his defensive and base running value. But anyway, let's just take a look at the rest of free agents for now. So we'll go by demand, I guess. And we can see top of the market being set by Strasburg and Sale. We're not really in the market for a starting pitcher because we're going to have to pay Syndergaard all that money soon anyway. So I don't want to commit to a long-term contract for a starter. Goldschmidt is a pretty interesting one. He was on the trade block last year, and I did not decide to sign him, but I mean, he's a stud. Has good numbers. He's got that Iron Man for his injury proneness, which is always good. So you know he's going to be playing 160 games. Some other first baseman available. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if these kind of first base DH types actually have a stronger market than we might expect, just because 15 new teams need DHs now, which is kind of an odd spot. So could be an interesting market for those guys. Let's look at catchers real quick. I don't think I'm going to really be a player for any of these big names though. We could definitely. Wow, this dude's 40. um, I mean, we could definitely sign one of these guys, but I think honestly, I doubt any of them are going to be that much better than Plawecki anyway. And Plawecki makes less. And I'm not going to pay like $9.5 million for Sal Perez. So I think we're just going to go with Real Muto and Plawecki as our catchers. Um, maybe looking at a fourth outfielder. Maybe that's something we could use, because now that I think about it, I think, yeah, we still have Heredia as our fourth outfielders. That is a real need that we have to fill. We didn't really ever replace Lagares after trading him last year. So let's look at all outfielders, and we'll just sort by overall. I want a guy who obviously is not going to be expecting to play a ton. Ooh, Billy Hamilton might be just what we're looking for. I know he can't hit worth a lick, but honestly that might not matter. Especially if he's just filling that fourth outfielder role, he'd be very cheap. Gomez, maybe another option, although he can't really defend that well. He is coming off a good year though. He actually has a little bit of potential with the bat as opposed to um, Hamilton. Aaron Hicks, guy that I have a man crush on in real life. Garcia, Calhoun. I think Hamilton is honestly, it would have to be Hamilton or Gomez, I think. And I think Hamilton just, the defensive and base running value, I think is kind of perfect for what I'm looking for out of my fourth outfielder. So we're going to offer him 1.2 million. And if that works out, then our bench would likely be Plawecki, Peter Alonso, and then probably Rosario with Hampson in AAA, and Billy Hamilton as the fourth outfielder. Maybe we could find an outfielder to give a minor league contract to, or just to have a little bit more depth, because we really have like no depth of outfielding in our minor league system. We could go after the international guy, Trace Thompson maybe. I guess I'll offer Trace Thompson. He's looking for 900,000. Okay, so it's a minor league. Okay, this is only a minor league contract, and that's the bonus. That's a salary if he's promoted. Sorry, I'm fine with that. 100% do that contract for Trace Thompson. And what about this guy? Same sort of deal? This is the same sort of deal for this guy. So I'll offer him the same $900,000 minor league with a major league option contract. And I guess we'll just kind of monitor the market for some of these relievers, but I don't think it's going to really play out yet. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit and see how some things play out. So I have advanced to the start of the winter meetings, and we've seen the market for a couple of the top name free agents start to play out. We've seen Goldschmidt signed with the Astros, Strasburg signed with the San Francisco Giants, and it was Chris Sale signing with the LA Angels of Anaheim. So we have, but one thing that we luckily have not seen is the market for relief pitchers sort of coming to a head and playing out. As we've seen or as we saw last offseason, we've seen these top tier relief pitchers not really have a market for themselves right away. Both Britton and Miller have no teams interested in them right now. And if you go even further down the list, Will Smith has no one interested in him. Vizcaíno, no one. Betances, no one. So we're in pretty good shape in terms of getting one or more of these guys. We could even get Familia back. He's coming off of a pretty good year with the Gigantes. But we did sign all three of those outfielders, and something I didn't even realize is the Hamilton contract that I offered was also a minor league deal with a major league option for the salary that he would get if he's promoted within the first 30 days, and I'd say he's pretty likely to get that. But we also got the international guy Zui and also Trace Thompson to sign. I think Thompson signed. Actually, now that I think about it, oh, here we go. Here's Thompson. So we got all three of those guys. We got a little bit more outfield depth, which is good. We needed that. But yeah, I'm pretty satisfied seeing the reliever market play out the way it is. So I think I could, based on the money that I do have, probably sign two guys and then save the rest of the money for midseason acquisitions. I don't really want to give out, like, people are probably wondering like, oh, you had 27 million bucks, like why not go out and sign Steven Strasburg? Mainly because I know that I'm going to have guys who are going to need pay bumps in the near future. So I would rather, like, the thing I really like about the Anthony Rendon move is that's only 2 years of salary commitment. So after 2021, he's off the books. Him and Jansen both, that's going to be 40 million bucks freed up, which could go to a player like, Noah Syndergaard. Maybe Noah Syndergaard will make, 30 million bucks that year, and that might be the first real year, the first real meaty year of his contract extension. So, guys like Syndergaard, guys like Jimenez eventually, and some of the other homegrown talent are eventually going to need to get pay bumps. Although honestly, looking at this chart, I'm not seeing where a lot of the pay bumps are going to come from. Now, if we go, let's sort by 2021 and even 2020. Cespedes is going to be off the books. Real Muto, I think, probably just going to be a rental, but we'll see how that plays out. Maybe we re-sign him. We keep the flexibility to maybe extend Rendon if he sticks around, if he starts to hit again. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, maybe we really don't need to be saving that money, but I just tend to err on the side of maintaining flexibility. Maybe next year, like Manny Machado is a free agent or something, and it turns out I could get him on the right kind of contract. Like I just want to keep that flexibility open if I can. If I had an obvious need for a spot on the team, I would definitely be more aggressive in spending the money I have available. But the thing that like keeping all that money enables me to do is if midseason comes around and like the next James Paxton becomes available for nothing, all I have to do is eat the 10 million bucks left on his contract. Like that's a really easy trade for me to pull off, and that's always the kind of trade that I like doing anyway because I value my prospects pretty highly. Honestly, as assets more than anything else. So, it's it's a balancing act, I guess. I don't really know the best way to describe it, but that is pretty much why I'm being inactive in the off season in the free agent market this year. Um, After being so aggressive last year signing a guy like Bryce Harper, there are some pretty serious names here in this Rule 5 draft. We're gonna have to check and see if anyone from Binghamton or Las Vegas is available. All right, I added a couple guys to our. Why am I on the White Sox? I added a couple guys to our 40-man, and now we are ready to go with the Rule 5 draft. Maybe we find a reliever in the Rule 5 draft this year. We'll see. We're not going to be picking until the end of the round, so we'll see. We lost someone. Blake Tiberi. Can't say I've ever heard of this guy. Can't say. Well, he might be missed. He could be a solid little bench player. Maybe a nice little pickup for the Nationals. Don't know how I brushed over that guy, but anyway, that's fine. Really not fretting that loss. Believe it. Let's go by overall. Nothing more than 2 stars available. Potential wise, some more. Ooh, like this guy. I think I'm gonna take this guy, Chad Hawken. Take him. He could be a bullpen piece. I see like Josh Naylor still available. I know that he's in AAA though. Oh man, should I just take this guy? I'm just gonna take Josh Naylor. What am I doing? Why would I not take Josh Naylor? He's basically ready. He could easily be my DH this year. Also, like, if I didn't have so many infielders, I would consider taking Isaac Paredes too, quite honestly. But wow, this is pretty rare. I've very rarely actually picked guys in the Rule 5 draft in this year's game. Oh, we lost another guy. Oh, Trace Thompson. That's fine. That's just fine. Yeah, now we're gonna take Hawken, draft him, and let's go one more. See if there's anyone left. Paredes is still there. Jason Foley. Eh. Paredes. Yeah, Paredes. I don't. It just doesn't really. He doesn't really have a spot on our team anyway, and his current ratings definitely stink. I mean, his potential, no doubt, is there, but yeah, I mean, we don't really have a spot for him anyway, so I think we'll just have to pass on him. But we've got Naylor. I like that Naylor pick. I think he could turn out to work out for us. So I've advanced up to January 3rd now, and we see that Zach Wheeler signed with the Orioles on January 3rd. He ended up getting a 4-year, $35 million deal. Pretty good contract for him. Not a ton of money. So probably not a bad deal for either side, but uh, the important thing, we get that draft pick for Wheeler, which is good. And let's take one more look at the relief pitchers. So Miller, still no market for him. Britton, same thing. All right, so I think we're good to skip all the way ahead to the start of the preseason, and then we will finally start negotiating with some of those relief pitchers. So we have reached the start of the preseason, and now I am going to start negotiating with probably both Zach Britton and Andrew Miller, as their demands have gone down. Now Britton looking for a 4-year deal. But honestly, a multi-year deal at those figures I would not be opposed to. The only thing is both of these guys are getting up there in age. Britton is now 32, Miller is 34. So I think I would be more willing to. Okay, the other thing we have to consider is that Britton is compensation, Miller is also compensation. Familia is no compensation. But Betances would also be no compensation. So maybe we're better off going for Familia and Betances, holding on to that draft pick, because we already have both Jansen and Ta in the bullpen. It's not like we need another, closing potential, like shutdown multi-inning guy like a Britton or a Miller. We might be better off holding on to the draft pick and trying to get someone like Familia back. So Familia is fragile. That's the only thing to consider with him. Coming off of a decent year, nothing spectacular by any means. And Betances, of course, had a good year for us, but his control is always an issue. So that's the thing. I mean, Familia and Betances are both more flawed than Britton and Miller, but Britton and Miller come with the loss of that draft pick, which I guess it's at the end of the first round, and we're getting the compensation pick anyway, so maybe it's worth just giving up the draft pick for these guys. Garrett Cole is still available. Wow, that's kind of a surprising one. No compensation either. All right, I am going to pay the extra to try and get Britton on the team. I think Britton is worth giving up the draft pick for because he's so good and just doesn't come with those kind of question marks that we have about Familia and Betances. So let's try to make this a team option. We'll do $1 million buyout. And he likes that. So if we lose the pick for Britton, then there really shouldn't be any hesitation in signing Miller either. So I think I'm going to try and get Miller too. And we will try to do the same thing, get him for a little bit below market value. He's 34 though. So maybe we just go 1 year on him for 8 million. And let's see what he thinks of that. Does like it. Just trying to decide if I want to go multi-year on him. Maybe even do like 2 for 12. 2 for 12 might be the nice little sweet spot. All right. We'll do that. 2 for 12 for Miller. And 3 for 24 was the offer for Britton. And we'll see what both of them think. If we got both of them, then we would have one stacked bullpen, and I would be pretty excited about that. And here we go. Both Zach Britton and Andrew Miller signing on the same day. So That is pretty much our offseason right there. Miller and Britton, at least in free agency, these were our guys on top of the outfielders that we signed. But these two and Rendon were pretty much the headliners. And other than that, it's been relatively quiet. But these are two good moves for us. I know we have to give up draft picks. I think we end up losing our first and second round draft pick now, since we signed both of those. See this one, loss of a first round pick. I'm probably drop it third. Already last pick, which gets you the next highest pick. Oh, so maybe we lose the compensation pick and keep our second rounder. I don't know, but we'll have one pick in the first two rounds, which is fine. I'm fine with that. Um, I mean, I'm concerned right now with trying to win the World Series in 2020, even if it comes at the expense a little bit of long-term draft and development. But anyway, so we are going to skip forward now, probably all the way till opening day because I'm not sure what else there is to do in this offseason. Do we have the W? Ooh, we got the World Baseball Classic coming up. Maybe we'll check that out a little bit. All right, so I think I'm going to end off the offseason video here a little bit early because I kind of want to do the World Baseball Classic in its own separate video. If you guys remember, I did take the United States manager job, which means we're going to have full control over the roster selection, which is what today is about, Saturday, February 8th. And we'll have full control over the roster, the lineups, all that stuff. So I'm going to play in the games like I do for the postseason episodes, and we're going to try and win the tournament for the second straight time as the United States. So I'm going to dedicate the entire next episode to that, as well as like getting through spring training and kind of the final roster cutdowns, all that stuff. So anyway, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy, and as always, I'm out. Peace.